So I've been coding for over 5 years now, and I really wish someone told me these 7 things before I had to spend years figuring them out the hard way. If you're stuck, overwhelmed, or doubting yourself, let me save you 5+ years. My name is Ayman. I've been a programmer for more than 5 years. I went from working in a warehouse to landing my first developer job in under 6 months of learning with no degree. I've interviewed at top tech companies like Canva and have received dozens of 6-figure job opportunities throughout my career. And I've also helped hundreds of career changers learn to code properly and land their first job in tech. Number 1, you're never gonna feel ready, so start anyways. Throughout this journey, you are never going to feel ready. Not ready to build your first project, not ready to send out your first job applications, not ready to ask someone to pay you for your work. And for the longest time, I kept waiting for this moment where I'd suddenly feel like a real developer. But that moment never showed up. Even after getting my first developer job, I remember thinking, wait, companies are actually paying me to write code? It's kind of like learning a new language. You don't wait until you're fluent to start speaking. You just start with a few words, you make mistakes, and over time you get better. And it's the same with coding. Confidence is built through action, not waiting. And when I started applying for jobs, I was nervous. The imposter syndrome was loud, but I did it anyways. And for sure, I went into my first interviews and definitely failed some, but I kept applying. I kept putting myself out there. But eventually, one company said yes, and that one yes changed everything. So you're more ready than you think, and you don't need to be confident. You just need to be willing to try. So start messy, start nervous, but just start. Number 2, you will never know everything, and that is okay. All right, this is a big thing I wish someone had told me. You will never know everything, not at all, but that is fine. You see, when I was starting out, I thought professional developers had all of Python memorized like they were a robot. I used to think real programmers could wake up, grab their laptop from their bedside table and write perfect JavaScript, like they had the entire language stored in their head. But the truth is, they don't. None of us do. Imagine you're learning to play guitar. You don't need to memorize every single song ever written. You just need to know the basics, how to play a chord, how to hold a rhythm, and how to not make it sound terrible. And programming is the same. It's more about understanding the patterns and the fundamentals rather than memorizing every single detail. Back when I started, I used to feel bad for Googling how to get the last item of an array. I felt like, shouldn't I already know this? But here's the thing, I still Google that sometimes. And so do people who have been doing this way longer than I have. Because being a skilled programmer isn't about having everything memorized. It's about knowing how to find answers, how to problem solve, and how to stay resilient when nothing is working. So if you're Googling basic stuff, congrats, you're doing the right thing. Now, just before we move on to the next point, if you're serious about transitioning into tech and want me to personally walk you through the entire process, click the first link in the description to apply for my one-on-one coding bootcamp. That's where I help career changers like yourself learn to code and land 70 to 100K tech jobs in just a few months. So if that sounds like you, the first link in the description will have all of the details. But without further ado, let's get straight back into our next point. Number 3, learn how to actually study. All right, this is a big one that would have saved me months of feeling stuck. Most beginners or career changers try to learn to code before they learn how to learn to code. See, I thought if I just watched enough courses and tutorials, eventually I would be able to code. But 9 tutorials later, yeah, I could follow along, but I couldn't build anything on my own. It was like trying to learn to swim by watching YouTube videos. You feel like you're making progress right up until you jump into the water and start drowning. Learning to code is like going to the gym. You don't build muscle by watching workouts. You build muscle by lifting the weights. And the same is with coding. If your fingers aren't typing out code on your computer, then your brain really isn't learning anything. What really changed everything for me was having a proper learning framework. So instead of just randomly watching tutorials and hoping for the best, I created a 3-step plan that I use to learn any coding language. And here's how it works. I would 1, start by watching a crash course tutorial. 2, I would then move on to coding along with 3 tutorial projects. And then step 3, I would finally build a project completely on my own without any tutorials. This 3-step plan will make sure you get the perfect mix of theory and actual hands-on practice in your learning. Number 4, coding is really just problem solving. The real skill in coding isn't writing code. It's using code to solve problems. Anyone can memorize some JavaScript syntax, but can you break down a project in small, manageable parts that you can actually build? Can you figure out why something isn't working even though everything looks correct? Think of programming like being an electrician. The syntax, that's just your tools, your hammer, your screwdriver. But the real skill is diagnosing the problem, testing things and figuring out what's actually causing the issue. When I first started, I would completely freeze anytime something would go wrong. Like, great, it's broken, I must suck at this. But over time, I realized something. Debugging is the job. It's not a sign that you failed, it's literally a part of the process. The developers you look up to aren't just fluent in a programming language. They are persistent problem solvers. They stay patient, they ask questions, and they keep digging until they find the answer. So if you want to get better fast, stop worrying about what to write and focus more on understanding why it's written that way. Develop your problem-solving skills, not just your typing speed. Number 5, stop chasing perfection. When I first started as a developer, I literally spent a whole afternoon just trying to name one variable. No exaggeration. Just sitting there overthinking it, like should I call it user info or user data or something more professional? Why? Because I convinced myself that every single line of code that I wrote had to be flawless. But here's the problem, perfection isn't real. You're never gonna write perfect code, nobody does. Even the senior engineers that you're looking up to write code that breaks sometimes, but they just know how to debug it more quickly. It's like learning to play a piano, but never wanting to touch the keys because you're afraid you won't sound like Mozart the first time around. Well, newsflash, it won't. And it's not supposed to. Once I stopped obsessing over making everything super polished and clean and just started getting stuff done, everything changed. Projects got completed, I started learning more quickly, and guess what? The code got better as a result. And it wasn't because I suddenly became perfect, it's because I finally gave myself permission to not be. Finished always beats flawless. Messy code that runs will always teach you more than clean code that you never actually write. So stop obsessing and start shipping. Number 6, people do not care about your code. They care about the result. Now this one might sting a little bit, but it needs to be said. Nobody really cares about your code. Not your boss, not your clients, not the people using the product. They care about what it actually does. You could write the most beautiful, perfectly structured code in the world, but if the button doesn't work or the page takes forever to load, nobody will care. I once spent an entire afternoon building out a feature, and I made sure the code was super clean. I organized everything perfectly, and I followed every best practice. I felt like a genius when I finished. Then I showed it to my project manager, and the first thing he said was, "Nice, but this doesn't look good on mobile." All that beautiful code that I wrote didn't mean anything if the feature didn't work properly. Think of your code like electricity in a house. Nobody opens up the wall and claps because the wires are organized. No, they just want the lights to turn on when they flip the switch. Your code is the same. Make it work. Make it solve the problem first. And if it's super clean and elegant as well, great. But don't chase perfection no one will ever see. Now, number 7 is pace yourself. Let's be honest for a second. Burnout is a real thing and it can sneak up on you and it'll hit you hard. Look, we all know the loop. You start off excited, motivated, spending hours learning to code every single day and watching tutorials. Then a few months go by and suddenly you're drained, overwhelmed, and questioning whether coding is even for you. I've been through this myself. I once spent 4 days trying to solve a single annoying bug. I barely stepped away from the computer, I was super tired, but I kept just staring at the code, hoping the answer would reveal itself. And you know what? Eventually, I did figure it out. The bug was gone, but so was my motivation. And looking back, even though I did solve the problem, it wasn't a big victory. It was a warning, a sign that I was pushing myself too hard. You see, there's this myth that real developers have to grind 24/7 non-stop, and that's just simply not true. The developers who actually succeed long-term don't burn themselves out. They take breaks, they protect their time, they rest when they need to, they go on trips, they spend time on hobbies and things that they actually enjoy. Think of yourself like a battery. You wouldn't expect your iPhone to run on 10% the entire day. So why treat yourself that way? You don't need to grind non-stop to prove you're serious about this. Productivity isn't about pushing until you crash. It's about being able to keep going long term. So get some sleep, step away from the screen, go outside for a walk. Your future self will thank you. Alright, let's recap on everything we just went over. You're never gonna feel ready, so start anyways. You will never know everything, and that is okay. Learn how to actually study and create a proper learning plan. Coding is really just problem solving. Stop chasing perfection. Done is better than perfect. People do not care about your clean code. Just focus on building something that works, and pace yourself and play the long game. Take breaks to avoid burning out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments below which of these points helped you the most. If you want a full guide on everything you need to learn to code and land your first job as a career changer, watch the free training that's about to pop up on the screen now. And if you want one-on-one coaching to land your first coding job in the next 3 to 6 months guaranteed, apply to join my coding bootcamp with the first link in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.